have brought a man who changed my life a few years ago. And every year I beg him to give me one more hour of his time to share with you all, because I watch most folks make the same mistakes over and over. And these are people who are very successful. These are people who are very diligent. These are people who show up every day and work so hard for their success. Many of them have teams around them. And disappointingly enough, these are also people who seem to struggle with coming up with the right words. And most of them, if not all of them, have no idea what the heart, or as Jamie would say, the art of communication is all about. So sit back, relax, and join us. And without further ado, this amazing man on the call, I'd love to let you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what we're going to get into today.
Perfect. All right, so do I have ability to share my screen? Oh, if you could just enable for me to share the screen.
Yes.
Okay, here we go. All right. Sarah, can you see?
You got it.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right. So everyone, thanks Sarah for the edification there. I love that, appreciate that. There are a lot of Sarah Noels on the call too, who are black boxes, who I take it are not Sarah's. That's fine. Real quickly, guys, before I start teaching communication, just because I can see quite a number of you, thankfully, just a quick, I won't get a show of hands on I won't be doing a ton of this, but just before I get started, how many of you, like me, you actually think communication is important? Just show your hand if you think, all right, look, every hand goes up. Interesting. Okay. Now, before I start sharing communication skills with you guys, because I believe what Sarah said is accurate. You've got a lot of people spending the one commodity they don't get back, their time, doing activities, especially in communication, that don't necessarily help them. So if I was to ask some of you, before I start teaching you, what benefits would you come up with to be better in the area of communication? Just out of curiosity, Rachel, you seem like a fun person, so I'm going to have you unmute. You got a smile. That's great. So, Rachel, before I start teaching you things today, what benefits would you come up with to be better at communication?
I guess just making sure that I'm really listening to what the person is saying so that I can respond appropriately, and rather than just, respond to answer. I think that's probably the most important thing that I think a lot of people forget about.
Love that. So not just listening to speak, like waiting to speak, actually listening. I love that. And it was interesting because I teach, one of the formulas I teach is gathering information from the person. The only way we can gather information, right, is to ask them questions, to listen, so we can then leverage that information back. Got it. Mindy, if I was to ask you, before I start teaching communication skills, what benefits would you come up with to be better in the area of communication?
For me, honestly, it would be about listening and focusing on what the other person wants, rather than I tend to bring my own life stuff into it, and it can be overwhelming for people. And I want to be able to communicate two separate versions of me, one that's work related, one that's personal, instead of always trying to bring my personal life into my work life, if that makes sense.
Wonderful. Love it. And I'm going to pick on a guy that there is only one guy I can actually see the video on, but he's going by the name of Sarah Noel. So if that person who just smiled, if that person can unmute themselves, and just what benefits would you come up with to be better in communication before I start teaching stuff? Oh, if you can unmute yourself a second there.
And go ahead and introduce yourself, and I'll rename you too. When I sent out the link earlier, now I've learned this about Zoom. If I give you my link, you get my name. So
if you can't unmute yourself, if you're having difficulty unmuting yourself, maybe
okay.
There we go.
Unmute.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, I'm sorry, after all that, what's the question?
Oh, great. Terrific. So listening. All right. So no, I'm just being funny after what the first two said. The first two said benefits. So what benefits would you get being better at communication?
Increased business.
Oh, wow. Okay. And your name's Kenny. Right.
Yes, sir.
Who agrees with Kenny that if you're better at communication, you will increase business? Who likes the idea? I don't even look at it as putting more money in your pocket. Who likes the idea of actually just being able to have a better living for yourself? All right. If you're like me, you've got kids. I know some of you, I know Sarah does. All right.
Plenty.
You know, it's about creating yourself an existence. So hopefully the idea is I'll teach you things in communication. Actually, guys, if I make a promise, and promises I teach is the most dangerous word on the planet, because if you promise something, you have to deliver on it, right? So if I can promise you guys, I will teach you during this session one question that you can ask prospective clients that get them to sell themselves without you telling them anything. Who would say that was a glorious session to be a part of if I teach that question? All right, fantastic. I'll make a promise to teach you that. Now, Sarah's had me come along here. All the things you see on the screen, reputation, trust, credibility, they're all important things, correct? All right. So look, you've all come on here. A lot of you have maybe not seen me speak before. Sarah has. So my question to you guys is, do you actually need to know anything about me to feel some sense of what does this guy know in communication? Or do we just have all faith in Sarah that she would only have me come on every year because I know what I'm talking about in communication? You need to know something. Obviously, this requires you to unmute yourself so you can share. Yes, Jamie would like to know something. Or do we all have complete faith in Sarah?
Hey, I'll take it. Complete faith in Sarah.
So
No.
watch this, guys. I'm using this as a lesson, and this actually goes to Mindy's point. When Mindy says you go into a meeting, the other person, if you're doing all the talking, let me start telling you all about my personal life, all about my professional life. Is there any emphasis on the other person? No. All right. So all I'm asking is, do you need to know anything about me, or are we all good? Because if you say you're all good and you all have faith in Sarah, I now don't need to share about Monica, who's a realtor client of mine, who's lost count how many deals she's done and just got doubled for this month. This is a post from today. All right. So it's not like I'm talking about realtors who was killing it like back when things are burning hot. Supposedly in the real estate market, based on my clients, things are coming more normalized. Is everyone a realtor on here by chance? Rachel's like, no, I'm not a realtor.
Yeah, we got a good mix, a handful of lenders. We have several branch managers on the call. So everybody in the real estate industry that I can see besides maybe one of my friends.
Great. Well, I've had clients from the mortgage business that Sarah knows personally in Buddy Puckett, who's a lovely guy who hired me for him personally. And Kenny's like, yeah, I know Buddy. All right. It was okay. Like, so I could share so many things about all my clients in the real estate game. I could share videos of people who are 23 years old doing $5 million worth of business. I'm not going to share any of this stuff from Coldwell Banker to a guy who's closing 100% of the time when he's using a particular technique. I don't need to share any of these scenarios. I feel like if I'm saying EXP, I'm committing blasphemy if none of you are in EXP, but I've got clients from that brokerage too. I don't need to share any of these things. I don't need to share with you. Where's the slide? I don't need to share with you. I'm speaking to a board of fraudulent investigators, how to get witness confessions, all right, in October, and going to South Carolina to do that. I don't, so I'll just, where's the slide that which most interesting slide? Did you guys see the slide where it had snapshots of my phone? This is, where is it? There you go. This is what my phone looks like at the end of one of these talks. My phone just starts blowing up with random phone numbers from all different parts of the country based on the things that I share today. So I'm going to get to the first lesson. All right, and Mindy's going to love this as based on what her share was on the benefits. So watch this, guys. Am I oversharing? How many of you have been to a workshop like this, and for the first 15 minutes, it's all a speaker talking about themselves and why they think you should listen to them, and you're like, when are we going to actually learn something from this person? Have any of you been to one of those?
Oh,
The funny
yes.
thing is for me, when clients come on board with me, I'm like, what do you know about me in the first session? I'm like, they like nothing. And I'm like, perfect. Use that as a lesson for yourself. What you think someone should value about what you bring to the table is completely irrelevant. If you're starting your meetings, let me start by telling you, can you see just the words? Let me start by telling you, all right, you're going to be playing, let me hope and pray, all right, and cross my fingers that what I share with you really appeals to you. All right. So the idea behind oversharing, if you make statements to another individual, we don't know if someone values what we're sharing. The only way we're going to find out if they value it is to extract it in the form of really good questions. And maybe today I'll probably share with you some bad questions that some of you might be asking that you've been programmed to ask people. Now, I usually will ask at this point, who doesn't know what movie this is? There are some people where they might not be decent from the neck up, so I can't see their faces. However, for those I can see, does everyone know this movie?
No,
Stella, no.
I don't know.
Okay, so let's help Stella out here a bit, guys. What movie is this?
Okay, I don't know if I remember the name exactly right. I think I watched
Karate Kid.
Karate Kid.
Karate Kid. Where's the Karate Kid? So Wes, since you're on, I can see that glorious face right now. What does this action symbolize? What's it called? Do you remember?
Attention.
It's the wax on, wax off.
Wax on, wax off. So Stella, I'm going to explain something to you and then have the others verify for you. You're like, what has this got to do with communication? And I'm going to show you everything. When Mr. Miyagi, the Karate Kid's instructor, is telling him, you need to go and clean cars. He's like, what does this have to do with karate? By the end of the movie, did it have everything to do with karate and how he defended himself? So Stella, I'm going to make a promise to you. I'm going to talk to you guys today about how I interact with my daughter Ruby, how I help guys get online dates. And it's the same verbiage that you will use, whether you're a lender, a realtor, no matter what background you're doing, it's the same exact verbiage. The fact you just nod your head, Stella, do you get where I'm going with this? I'm going to share things that are, can we agree, communication, it doesn't just affect the real estate industry. It affects everyone, correct?
Okay.
So I promise you, Stella, you will have some wax on, wax off moments today.
Awesome.
Now, my former British self, I've been told I'm very charming, debonair. I've been told I can swear and it sounds polite. I will not swear today on this platform. All right. And then I get a chuckle. All right. And now I am a proud American. Yay, America. I even have a truck in my driveway. So yay, America. Love America. It's not turned me into Captain America just yet. Meaning what, guys? Can we just agree with just a nod of a head, or the ones I can see you, hands up, raising emojis for those who I can't see? It is impossible for me to teach you everything in communication in 40 minutes. Can we just understand if that is impossible? I'll share as much as I can. Great. Now, I can't do this slide any justice. All right, I just can't. Everybody unmute yourselves. All right, just for this example. All right. I get better in selling and in communication because I teach this stuff all day, every day. All right. Now, if I share something with you, and some of you look like you're in an office, even Stella looks like she could possibly be taking notes. Let's say I share stuff with you today, and you're like, oh my goodness, Sarah, thanks for having him. That stuff, I can really use that stuff, all right, and implement it quickly. In order for you to get better at something, in a one-word answer, everyone, what should you be doing to get better at something?
Practice.
Do it.
Practice.
Okay, the proof, Sarah's got a recording of this. I'm not recording this, all right? But here is proof. When I said I can't do justice, both Rachel and Mindy said listening. And I just proved the most valid point on the planet that we are all not very good at that one skill, all right? Because I clearly said I get better at selling and I get better at communication because I teach this stuff. I even did emphasis on the word teach this stuff. And then I turned around to you and asked, what do you do to get better? And you all said practice. Here's the deal, guys. You're not alone. If someone comes up to you and says these words, I'm not here to sell you something. Now, the words are, I'm not here to sell you something. What do we actually hear them saying to us?
I'm here to sell you something.
I'm here to sell you something. So I can't, again, I try and do justice where possible. Can you see very clearly that if you are talking to another human being, they're not necessarily hearing the words that you're actually saying. They're hearing what they want to hear, what they've been programmed to hear. So the second you say, we're not going to try and recruit you, if you're a brokerage and try and recruit, they're hearing you're 100% going to try and recruit me. If you say, I pride myself, I'm not a salesperson, you're about to sell me something. This is not get rich quick. It's get rich quick. If I say, don't think, under no circumstances, right this second, do not think of a pink elephant. Do not do it. Whatever you do, do not think of a pink elephant. What does your brain start thinking of? A pink elephant. So you've got to realize the second you say, my biggest client to date is Edward Jones, and it came aboard because the guy knocked on my front door, said, I'm not here to sell you something. Are there any reasons why you wouldn't want life insurance? And all I said back to him is, what do you hear someone saying when they say not here to sell you something? He goes, sell you something. And then I said, would you like to rethink the question? He goes in his head, are there any reasons why you wouldn't want life insurance? He's like, huh? I'm knocking on everyone's door and asking them why they don't want something. I'm like, well done. All right. So the questions that we ask people, why wouldn't you do something, are going to get answers that we don't want the answer to get to the outcomes that we're ultimately wanting from that. So hopefully that as a lesson hits home for you guys. And if I do share something with you and you want to get better at it, just make it 5-minute lessons for people where then it will become more seamless for you. Now, who would agree with me that building rapport is very important?
Oh, I agree.
Okay, great. Now, the way I teach is never to say this is absolute. We're all limited, correct, in what's between two ears. All right, here's my way of teaching it. If it makes sense, you're great. Building rapport is simply making somebody else the same as you. And it can be done rapid, fast. All right? People buy from people they feel the same as. Now, watch this, cheekily. Sarah might remember, you're not allowed to answer because you've seen me before. Does anyone remember the first question I asked all of you that got every single hand raised? And here's the good news. No one ever remembers it, meaning your clients will not know what you're doing and why you're doing it when you're
I have taken this class 3 times, 4 times. And every time this morning when I got ready, I said, I know he's going to ask a question at the beginning and I'm going to remember it this time. I don't even remember it. Anybody else?
And if you want to have a guess, great. If you don't worry. I'm just going to share it. Oh, go ahead, Mindy.
Was it what you want to learn or take away from this class? Was that the first question?
No, but thank you for at least like participating. It's a safe environment, Mindy. Here's what I asked, word for word. Before I start teaching communication, how many of you, like me, believe communication is important? Show of hands. And then hands go up. All I'm using consciously are 3 words to make someone the same as me. You, like me. All right. Now I'm going to teach you about you, like me. You don't have to have a British accent and you don't even have to use the words you, like me. You could say, are we on the same page? Do we share the same thoughts when it comes to X? Right. The more specific that you get with you, like me, the more chance you have of bringing on a client in your first meeting. How many like the idea of bringing on clients in one meeting? Bring that urgency, all right? So the more specific you get with you, like me, the more chance you have of bringing on a client. If you don't know someone, go general. If I go, Laurie, all right, if you unmute yourself, Laurie, are you like me? Do you like it when people are honest with you?
Yes.
I've never had someone say, no, can you please lie to my face? All right. So that is a generalized, you like me. All right. I could say to all of you, are you like me? Do you value your time? Chances are you're all going to say yes to that. All right. That is a you like me play that you can use to create urgency in a meeting to a degree when you're leveraging questions. All right. To someone. If I'm a realtor, I'd be like, are you like me? Do you actually believe that buying and selling a home is a major decision to make? All right. Or I would say, are you like me? Are we in agreement that not all realtors are created equally. All right, so they're not, so it's a layered question. So they're not going to ask me, will you accept less than 3% commission? It won't happen. I don't get people saying, Jamie, you're not worth the investment. I will get people saying, oh, I don't know if I can afford it. And then I'll use the word feasibility. And that might be for a different lesson. All right. But feasible gets the mind creative. I call it the most magical word. All right. I think I did that too, just to throw out some new information that I haven't shared in talk before with Sarah, so that she can get her head wrapped. Okay. Now, if you look at the screen, Monica, who did the post today, by the way, on Facebook, being one of the top producers for the month of August this year with Keller Williams, her first ever message to me, watch this. If we know people buy from people they feel the same as, look at this. She goes, good afternoon, exclamation mark, space, upside down question mark. Her ending to me was upside down question mark, thank you, period, upside down question mark. Look at my response, guys. I had to Google how to do an upside down question mark. I went, good afternoon, exclamation mark, space, upside down question mark. My ending, upside down question mark, thank you, period, upside down question mark. I am subliminally making her feel like we are the same. If you phone up someone and they say hello and you say hi, you are now different from that person. I'm not telling you lose your soul, lose your sanity. I'm not saying become someone completely different. I'm sharing with you, if you want to get more money, Kenny said, you'll get more business. I promise you wholeheartedly, right? When you use word for word, some of the things that your prospective clients say to you, they're subliminally, their subconscious is going to be like, I don't know why, but for some reason, this person gets me. All right. If they say the word kids, you don't say the word children, right? If they say, all right, it's again, don't become someone completely different. Is this what I would call a boom moment for any of you? Is this a new thing that you're like, oh, like, wow, like because I do it in every text I get from someone. They say hi, I say hi. All right. They say certain words. I'm going to mimic them because I know that people buy from people they feel more the same as. All right. So I saw some of you take notes on the You Like Me play. So I feel like that was what I'd call a boom moment.
Huge.
Now,
If they like, the moment that I always hear from people that have taken your class, some people will send them emojis and they don't use emojis. They're like not emoji users. But when they started responding, even if it's to their own kids with emojis or to the people on their team with emojis, all of a sudden they're so much more relatable to this person. And I think when we, are at different ages and stages of our life, and we need to communicate with people who are at different ages and stages of their life, it's a beautiful way to deepen a relationship with someone by just matching some nuance.
great. So one of the things I also like to teach is what's called predictability. And Sarah, I'll share this. I know exactly what the reaction is going to be as a result of me sharing this. So when you so I've got clients, I've got a black realtor client called Deontay, and he will send me black hands emojis. Guys, I'm not sending him black hands emojis back. All right. And look, there's laughter as a result of that. All right. However, I can send him white hand emojis back. All my clients get a smile. Oh, here's a good technique for you. Do you want to make people feel special in your life? All right. I believe Sarah, or at least Hannah, has 3 smiley faces after their name in my phone. All right. And my clients all get a smiley face in their name after my phone. And I'll tell you the psychology, they feel special as a result of that. All right. And I give my client, the way I stretch it, all my smiley faces, I say they get me for life. It's kind of like whenever they are in, like, oh my God, someone sent me this email, Jamie, how would you respond? Or this morning, Whitney Ward was like, Jamie, I've got a client that wants me to have to give someone a finder's fee and it was never discussed at the beginning. How would you respond? And then I get the message back, Jamie, you're a genius. Thanks for your help. You can do these things for your clients. Give them a trophy or whatever emoji, and then you share with them, oh, by the way, all people in my life, they get this after they name my phone. They'll suddenly feel elevated and special. And if I could preach anything to my kids in sales or in communication, people will always remember the way you leave them feeling. They won't remember anything you said, did. They'll always remember the way you left them feeling. So if you're calling from a script, for instance, you're going to leave someone feeling like, I just spoke to a robot. All right, is the feeling. that you're going to evoke. So these are not my kids. They just don't look very happy when I Googled unhappy looking kids. So I'm going to get this a wax on, wax off moment for you guys. All right. So if you want your kids to do things and make it their idea, this is the play. So I want my kids to clean their rooms, make their beds. So here's what I do. I'm like, kids, do you love it when daddy's happy? Thankfully, they say yes. I'm like, great. What specifically could you be doing around the house at this moment in time that would make me happy? And they say, clean our rooms, making our beds. I'm like, I agree with you. So I always end with the I agree with you and make it their idea. Now watch this. There's a difference though. If I say, kids, you like when I'm happy? Yes. What would make me happy? They could answer, well, hugging you. I'm like, yes, that could be broad-based. Like that would make me happy. The more specific and clear you get in the question, the more likely you'll get the outcome that you're looking for as a lesson for you. If someone says to you, I need to speak to my wife. All right, here's what the amateur does. When will I hear back from you? 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And you're left scratching your head being like, what kind of marriage are you in? I mean, if I want to make a decision, I need my ex-wife's opinion, I could still get it that night. All right, just as a tip for you guys. So there's more clearer ways that you can go about getting urgency and the husband saying, I'll speak to you tomorrow, just by knowing what to say in that moment. So the kids, don't tell them what to do. My daughter Ruby, how many of you got kids on devices too much? I'll just give another example. You want your kids off a device, just say this, multiple choice questions, steer the conversation. Best way to do it, multiple choice questions. Say, Ruby, my daughter, is it a really good thing or a really bad thing to be on your device too much? It's bad. Why is it bad? I'll end up with no friends, no social life, like a hermit in a room all by myself. I'm like, Ruby, that sounds terrible. How would you feel in that situation? Awful. I'm like, okay, so when it comes to your device, what are your thoughts? I shouldn't be on it so much. I agree with you. Notice I'm not doing the whole, I am telling you, get off your cell phone. I'm telling you this. Are you guys seeing a pattern here? Because it's the same play that you can do with your prospective clients, I assure you. Now, LA Fitness Guy, biggest amateur move on the planet, and hopefully this resonates. All of you might, how many of you work for a company? All right, you're not your own, you work for a company. Chances are you've been in a meeting with the boss or someone where they've said, we've got this new software, we've got this. The worst term in sales is USP, unique selling point. It's a terrible label. Why? Because what happens is you get told by the boss in a meeting, everyone will love this. So you need to tell everyone about this. And I'm going to prove a point. I go up to LA Fitness Guy, end of a workout. Hey, I'm thinking of checking out Planet Fitness down the street just to see what they will say. And here's what they would say. Here's what they did say. Planet Fitness doesn't have the swimming pool. It doesn't have the basketball court. It doesn't have the racquetball courts. And it doesn't have the aerobics room with the punching bags. And then I say back to them, now you got me thinking I'm paying too much money for my membership. Why do I think I'm paying too much money for my membership based on their response? Go ahead, Mindy.
Because the whole focus is on what they don't have instead of what they do have. If they were listing off all the things they do have to offer, you're not going to think, because most people won't think about the racquetball court or the swimming pool if that's not something they use on a regular basis. They want to hear about things they use.
So watch this, Mindy. I've told them I'm going to go and check out their competition. They've told me a bunch of things that their competition doesn't have. I don't use any of those things. So at the end of the day, they're just sharing things that I don't value. I'll give you another example. I said I'm a proud American. I've got a truck. I'll be vulnerable. Vulnerability is actually sexy, guys. No one wants to typically work with someone where they came out of the womb and life has been like this. All right. There's no necessarily the private jets and the Lamborghinis rented or whatever the scenario. People like to be around people who've actually had life experience, typically. All right. I'm going to be vulnerable. I own a truck. All right. Sarah, do you remember the one reason why I bought a truck by chance?
Besides to be a proud American man?
Well, it was to feel like a man. All right. All right. When I got divorced, I pulled up in a Volkswagen CC next to this big truck and saw this guy, big guy with his arm out the window. I'm like, I want to feel like that guy does. So if I would have gone to a truck dealership, which I did, and when I bought a truck, the guy would have said, Does this truck make you feel like a man? Yes. Oh, by the way, it's got this EcoBoost, these rims and this stuff. I would then turn around to him and say, can I find a truck that'll still make me feel like a man without those things for less on your lot? Thankfully, he didn't do that. But the point is, we will pay tooth and nail for things when we really want them. All right. When it's based around one thing, all the features and benefits in the world you think you bring, or you hope that think someone should value, is an assumption. All right. And not everyone does things for the same reason. Does that make sense? All right. Everyone does things for a different reason. Your goal in a communication is find out what is the one thing that you would need to hear from me in order that you would stay as a member of LA Fitness. Different question. All right. In that regard.
If this is I have to pause you, Jamie. If this is blowing your mind, open up the chat right now and type in the word boom, because this is this moment where I speak to lenders all day long who are saying our interest rates are better. We've got this new loan product. We can do this thing. But if you sit in front of a client and you say, what matters most? And they say, I need you to figure out how to communicate with my husband because I can't in this situation. Or I need somebody who's willing to text message me. Or I need someone who's willing to talk to me at 5 o'clock at night. They don't care about the list of things that you have in your brochure that make you quote unquote different. They care about how you're going to treat them different, right? Boom.
Love it. The women on this platform are going to love this. Men, we can be better. All right. Women are better salespeople than men, hands down. All right. And it's because of this slide. The real estate industry, especially, is the most emotional sale on the planet. I'm going to repeat that. Your industry is the most emotional sale on the planet. People do things on emotions first. They justify them with logic afterwards. If I ask the women and the men on this platform if they have more shoes in their closet than what they need, everyone would say yes. All right. If I ask you why you bought the last pair of shoes, it's because you wanted them. And that's interesting because Mindy used the word want earlier. All right. And I'm going to share an additional tip today. No one in life will ever do what they need to do. They will always, though, do what they want to do. You could find a homeless person at a gas station and they've got a cell phone, beer, cigarettes, no job. They're very resourceful. When you find out what someone wants, it will make the price irrelevant too. All right. I have an iPhone 11. We're up to the iPhone 14. Before the 11, I had the 6. I did not queue up for the 7, the 8, the 9, the 10, in between the 6 and 11. But yeah, are there people that do that? Yes. All right. Are they? And they can't even afford it. I'll let that sink in for you for a second, guys. All right. Price is irrelevant on stuff. The interest rates, like Sarah said, they're irrelevant. All right. You want to have someone who's connecting with you on a longer basis. So as a lesson, people do things on emotions first. They justify it with logic afterwards. You have to get someone to an emotional space. All right. Where people are guilty is this. They asked me, do I provide this? I said, yes, let me tell you all about it. That is logic. Someone asks you, do you provide something? Neat tip. Ask them why is that important to them, and then they will start talking to you and telling you everything. And that why part, that why piece will help you in the emotional state. Some of you might have picked up on, Ruby, is it good or bad to be on your device? Bad. Why is it bad? I'll end up with no friends, no social life, like a hermit in a room all by myself. Oh my God, Ruby, how would you feel in that regard? Just awful. By the way, don't teach your kids this stuff. But if you've got a kid saying the words, I want a cell phone, that we don't care, they don't care what we want, by the way. So remove the words I want. The only time you'll ever hear me say the words I followed by want is when I'm teaching people not to say it. Right? We're immune to it. All right. If my daughter, when she was 8, came up to me, Dad, I want a cell phone. I was like, no, your brother didn't get one till he was 12. Watch this difference, guys. Power of a good question. Wax on, wax off moment for you. Think about the questions that you want to ask your prospective clients. If my daughter came up to me and said, Dad, do you care about my safety? Think about that. At 8 years old, she came, of course I do. Why? Well, Ruby, you're my princess. I'd kill someone if someone messed with you. Dad, How would it feel to know my whereabouts and that I'm safe at all times? I'm like, very clever, Ruby. You're not getting a cell phone. What is she then knew to say? Because we get objections. I'm a little bit confused. Huh? Why? Well, there was this really strange man at the school the other day, and he was freaking my friends and I out like a lot. Do you think I'm going to go to sleep that night without her getting a cell phone? See, here's what you've got to understand. She's getting to focus on me first and what I want in order to get what she wants. Whenever you want something, whatever it is you want, get them to want it where do they want something first. And you, my friends, will likely get more ahead. Is that a good lesson for some of you? Okay.
Genius.
Now, just to try this, if I came up to any of you and asked you, so Rachel, just unmute yourself for a second. If I came up to you at a networking event and all it says is Rachel, not your business name, nothing else, I just said, Rachel, what do you do? How do you respond in that moment?
I help people find the home of their dreams and make them feel good about their purchases.
Okay, great. Anyone not a realtor in the group? Wes, are you a real? Okay, Wes, if I turn around to you, I've got a method to my madness. Rachel, you're going to love this. Wes, what if I came up to you and just said, Wes, what do you do?
I help get people money.
Right. Okay, watch this, guys. The reason I share this is, have either of you or anyone in this group learned the principle? And this, well, I didn't learn this till 29 years of age. This is the game changer. This is what completely transformed my life. Keys to the castle. If you want to control a conversation, have you ever learned the best way to control the direction of a conversation is by asking questions? Okay. Yet the one question you get asked, which is the most powerful one that can bring you on clients, what do? You guys go and make statements. I'll let that simmer. All right. If I share with you what I would say if I was a realtor, all right, that would be way more intriguing and get a boom moment during this talk, and it doesn't really involve too much of a statement, would that be helpful today? Because the truth, Rachel, I love it. I help people manage dream homes. Truth of the matter is, realtors, I've heard it. I am a real estate agent. I run a real estate business. I help people to build their dream home, to buy their dream homes. I help people build generational wealth, was one friend of me. I'm like, have you ever done that? They're like, no, I just think it sounds very professional. All right. So the idea is stay away from I statements. The unbreakable formula is whoever is asking questions steers a conversation. Now, there's really good questions. There's really bad questions. Here is look, I'm not saying this. Sarah, hopefully I come across as an individual that really cares. Sarah calls me up and I'll talk to her boyfriend. I'll talk to whoever to help in any situation. Correct, Sarah? Like, I genuinely care about people.
Yes.
But one question you won't ever get me saying to someone that I've never spoken to before in my life is, how are you? All right. If you are asking someone cold, you've never spoken, I'm not saying ask your friends, ask your family, ask people close to you, how are you, all day long. But if you call me up cold and you say, how are you? I'm going to say, do you really care? And you're going to say yes. And then I'm going to say, well, in that case, I woke up at 6:02. Was it 6:02? No. Yes, it was 6:02. And I took my dog Bruce out in the yard. And let me tell you, he took forever this morning. Oh, my God. And then I had to come in, and my Ruby now, she's 14. And getting a teenage daughter to school, they hang up on me.
I don't care.
Right.
The point is they're not going to know that you're the one person in the world that cares more than anybody else when you say, how are you? And the questions we ask dictate the direction of the conversation. Does that make, this is going to hit home for you guys. How many of you ever face someone saying, I think my home is worth X? Today in the market where there's these price reductions that my clients are going through, they're not doing what, how many of you are going to get sellers? I think my home is worth X. All right, you're going to face that. All right, what is the question that every realtor on the planet asks? How did you come up with that price? Or where did that come from, correct? All right, that's the question. It's shooting from the hip. It's unconscious communication. It's just shooting from the hip. Why do you think that? Now, I'll ask you, think about this. If you're asking someone who's not the expert, the seller, how they come up that price, think about what they now get to think about. Think about what you've given them an ability to justify back to you. And now you've got no choice yet to listen, because Mindy was understanding we have to listen to people. Now we're listening to them go off and talk about something that's got no bearing, really. It's probably about a debt they've got on a credit card bill that they want to get paid off, is what they're justifying the value of their home. Last time I checked, someone shares something you don't agree with, now it's a battle. So you want to stay away from really bad questions. Now, do I have your blessing? It seems like we're a fun group. If I show you factually how I got a guy a date online just by using 3 questions, all right, that you can use. And I've already used it somewhat with Ruby. It's called what, why, how. All right, what, why, how. I use it in every scenario on the planet. Here's how it works. The young lady wrote to my client, all right, motivate me. I told my client to put these words in there to degree, no word for word, but in his own word. If you could pick one characteristic that you want when choosing to go on a date with someone, what would it be? The young lady responded, chivalry. My client was on the phone with me. How should I respond? I believe chivalry is important. Why did you pick that characteristic? And she goes, it shows you how someone will treat you. And frankly, there are not too many men with chivalry. So my client said, so if I'm able to illustrate chivalry is important in the way that I treat someone, would you be up for meeting up? The how part, the feeling part, would that feel like you've met someone rare? He goes, I like your response. The answer is yes. Right? Guys, you do not have to tell anyone anything about yourself. Your mission is to find out what is the one thing that you would want to hear from me today to feel confident to use my services. This. Oh, why'd you pick that? Because the last people, let me tell you, da 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 da. Okay, how would it feel if I knew factually 100% I can deliver on that? Would that make you feel pretty confident about going with my services? Yes. I'm letting this simmer and sit down. It works in every arena. All right, and to make this exciting, who's ready to learn the one-off question you can ask someone and get them to sell themselves without you telling them anything?
Yes.
Anyone else? Okay, watch this. Sarah knows what's coming now. All right. Oh, by the way, that slide just means you don't have to have a British accent to do what, why, how. Jim Roman is a client of mine, a 30-year business veteran coach, all right? And he didn't know what, why, how. So we're not all born and know what, why, how. I didn't learn it till I was 29. Now, the one-off question. Here's the interesting point. Does anyone remember the second question that came out of my mouth that Kenny said, I'll get more business? He basically said, all right, I will get more business, meaning I'll get more sales. Does anyone remember the question I asked? And I hadn't even taught anything at that point.
Was it the
Here's the
benefit of
good-
better communication?
Okay, well done, Wes. That's pretty close. That's one of the closest answers I've ever had on, and I've done a lot of these over the last 3 years. Well played, Wes. Here's what I said. Before I start sharing communication, what benefits would you come up with to be better in the area of communication? All I need someone to say is, I'll get more sales. And then all I have to do is prove that I know more than what they know. Because if they go, oh, that was new. Oh, that was new. Oh, would you believe there's more? Yes. Okay, great. What value do you place on communication? Low or high? What do you think people say to me? High. If I want someone to say something, I don't, look, some of my clients say it's priceless. Would you say it's low or high? Now I'm tailoring the direction of the conversation just based on using group psychology, what other people have said. All right, and there's more to that. Look, I'm about to show you a slide. The left-hand side is me. I got a young lady to drive 2 hours to see me in South Carolina just by texting the words. What would you say? I didn't say, I'm Prince Charming, I'm British, I'll take you out for a fancy meal. None of that. I just said, what would you say the benefits would be for you to come see me if you can share? And she lists off 5 things. All I said is the words, I agree with you. I agree with everything you just shared. So with that being said, what do you think you should be doing? She said, driving down to see you. I said, great, I'll see you in a couple of hours. To the right-hand side is a client of mine. He wrote the same question, and the young lady wrote an entire essay back to him in benefits. How many of you are not going into interaction with people saying, before I get started, what benefits did you come up with? If you're like me, you value your time. So what benefits did you come up with for our meeting? And I promise you this, if you start doing that, they're going to start sharing the most random things for you. They'll be like, oh, you didn't know this, but we actually both know so-and-so, and you sold their house. And now you can be like, oh, fantastic. They're lovely, right? Right. Hey, since, and then you can use the question I used at the beginning here. Since we both know so-and-so and they're awesome, right? Are you already confident to list your home with me? Or is there anything that you're needing to know? And I promise you, they'll turn around and be like, no, we're already pretty confident. Here's what you're then not guilty of. Oversharing and starting telling them things about yourself that you hope that they like when the sale's already done before you even get there. I can see the nod of heads like you're getting it. All right. A great multiple choice. If you get a referral, do you need to know anything about me? Or the fact that we know so-and-so, are you already confident? I literally, one of my last clients, just to add value to it, one of my funniest, I said I wasn't going to swear. Do I have your permission to use the words of another person out there, that what they said? Do I have your blessing?
Yes.
Okay. I walk into a real estate brokerage, won't say the name of it because it'd be like blasphemy sometimes, but I walk in downtown Orlando, I go in there, there's a small group of young realtors and they're all talking in a circle. I come in because I've got a meeting in person with a client. I've got clients in Portland, but I've also got clients in person in Orlando. I like to get out of the house sometimes. So I go to the office downtown, I walk into this little circle, get chatting. All of a sudden, Annie Gonzalez, she goes, oh my goodness, you're Jamie. I'm like, I am. She goes, oh, I've heard you're the shit. I'm like, oh, really? She goes, I'm like, from who? She goes, Alexis. I'm like, oh, I'm here to meet Alexis. I'm like, Annie, like, look, since we both love Alexis, did she tell you what she invested in me? Yes. I said, well, do you need to know anything else about me, or are you already confident that I can help you? She goes, I'll go and grab my purse. I'm like, terrific. That was the sale, guys. Hand down. I could get Annie on the phone right now. What do you call me? She goes, you're the shit. All right. Like, and that's our vibe with myself and Annie. The point being is, guys, sometimes you've got the business before you even go into the meeting. Does that make sense? Like, it's like, have you ever been to see a movie, a restaurant or a movie or somewhere, and you were referred it, and then someone started talking too much, and you're like, I don't see what this person saw in that person. It's because there's overshare. All right, you don't need to be doing that. Now, for the real estate industry, I'm very big on this. The reason that I believe I'm successful at working with realtors and brokers and mortgage people is because you get a license to sell something with no prerequisite for what comes out your mouth. Anyone can get a real estate license with no prerequisite for how they communicate. And they're doing the most emotional sale. And then here's what happens. They go to an office and the broker or whoever, here's a script. They'll tell you, be authentic. Here's a script. Can you guys see it like a disconnect? Be authentic, be yourself. Here's a script. All right. And then what they do, they start calling up people. Hi, I'm so-and-so with so-and-so. I don't care what company you work for, how glorious you think it is. If all they're hearing on, remember, people hear the words that they want to hear, not what's being said. So when you say, I'm so-and-so with so-and-so, they're hearing, I'm so-and-so. What do you guys want to do when you get a cold call from someone saying, hi, this is so-and-so with so-and-so? What's the first, even if you don't do it, Wes is like, hang up. A bulk of people would like to do that. Right? Don't do that. I'll give you a tip that this brought on a client the other day, just doing this. He goes, what do you do with names then? All right, to say a name. How many of you ever come across like, you're like, oh God, like, what do I say in this example? All right, like, how do I call it someone? Remember, we want to make it about them first. So this might be a tip. What is my name? Based on the screen, what you read, what do I go by? Jamie, Rachel said, Jamie. Right. What do you think it says on my driver's license?
Probably your full name.
It says James. All right. Now, here's what happens. People call me up. Hi, is James there? What do I immediately know? Yeah, you don't know me very well. All right. This is cold. I don't want to speak to you anymore. All right. So watch this, guys, as a tip. You want to make a cold call, quick, warm. All right, quick and warm as possible, as quickly as possible. And how many of you, like me, do not like long phone calls with people you've never spoken to before? The only thing you want to sell is a meeting. So if someone called me up and said, hey, I've got your name as James. what do you like to go by? I'd be like, damn, like, well played. All right. And then I'll be like, oh, it's Jamie. Hey, Jamie, look, we haven't spoken. If you're anything like me, you get a call from someone you've not spoken to before. It can be kind of interesting. I've actually only got, you're going to love me. I've only actually got one question for you. Let's say I was more than just a fancy accent. I'm very charming, by the way. But let's say since you went and checked out this property, and let's say I was the more than capable of helping you with it, would that at the very least make me someone worthwhile to meet up with within the next week? And that's where I'm leaving it. There's no word for word script that people are handing people that say, I've got a very fancy accent. I've got this. All right. It's bringing your own miscellaneous ingredients and understanding the only answer you want to the question is, will you meet with me? And it won't happen with the scripts that say, I want to meet with you, or I would just like to meet with you. Why? Because they don't care. If all of you are saying at the end, which you most likely are, I want to meet with you, realize that is now not an emphasis on them. I'll teach something I wasn't going to teach today. If I said to you guys later, do you have time for me to meet with you? You're all going to say no. We're all conditioned. Do you have time? No, I'm watching Netflix. I'm taking my dog Bruce out for a walk. I'm going to pick up the kids. I've got a million and one things going on that are more important than what you're going to share. The words at least diminish the value of money and time. Just say, hey, let's say, watch this. Let's say there was something I can't teach today, but it will be life-changing for you. Would that at least be worth 10 minutes later on today to learn it? Yes, you're more inclined to say yes to that, just because I use the words at least consciously. Real quick, all right, because I don't know how I'm doing. How am I doing on time? Are you guys enjoying this stuff? All right, good. Okay. Am I on a time clock, Sarah, for you?
Not for me, no. So we'll keep recording it, and if people have to hop off, we can watch the rest on YouTube. But everybody seems pretty captivated right now.
Put it this way. If you like the idea of learning the sweetest little word on the planet, you'll stay. If you like the idea of learning the most powerful word on the planet in sales, you really will stay. All right. This lesson, though, this is where I help most of my clients out. I can't do it justice today, but just understand this. If you are emailing someone, there's only one thing you're selling, a phone call. If you are texting someone, the only thing you're selling is a phone call. If you are on the phone with someone, the only thing you're selling is a meeting. Now, I will share with you, virtual meetings are easier in the real estate game than in-person sales. I'll tell you for why. Where do you think I am right now? Home. Rachel said home. Home. You're right. Okay. In my home, do you think I get a choice on what is on the walls? Yes. Okay. So instead of if you're thinking, Jamie, what's different than how are you? Try this. Do you know what? I'm always interested with these Zooms. Like, what's that behind you, Jamie? Oh, that's Muhammad Ali. Oh, what's the story with that? He was my dad's hero. I love him. And da-da-da-da-da. Oh, what's that? Oh, my girlfriend's mum, she painted that. And she did that just for my house. What am I doing? I'm sharing about things that are in my home that I care about. Showing, the person showing me, they care. And I love talking about it. Sarah's face is lighting up. I don't always teach this stuff, but the idea being it's a virtual sale. I'm not slapping this stuff to a coffee shop to meet with you behind me. Let me bring everything from my house with me, meaning I don't have to do, there's not much guessing that goes on. What if someone supports the same team as you and they've got a team? Or what if there's a rivalry and you can have a bit of fun in that engagement with them? All right, you end up becoming their real estate person. Why? Because you're showing an interest in stuff that they've got going on in their homes. Hopefully that's a nice lesson. All right, I'm going to share with you, I'm not going to go through all of it. I'm going to share with you what I would say if I was a realtor. All right, and you guys are going to be like, okay, now understand, there's no smoothness. It's a framework. It's not a gift of gab. All right, I'll share with you what I'll say and then I'll break it down as much as I can. So who would like to role play with me? I'm a realtor at an event, all right, and someone says to me, what do you do? Who would like to be a good sport? Role play. Wes, I'm going to pick on you. You seem like a good sport, Wes. So all you're going to do is, I've already asked you what you do for a living, found it out. You now transition. You turn around to me and say, and we're going to role play this as accurately as we can. So you say, Jamie, what do you do?
Jamie, what do you do?
Oh, I tell you what, Wes, that's an interesting question. All right. At which point there's usually a smile on the other person. There's intrigue. I haven't gone to an I statement. you know what, Wes? A client of mine the other day, they were watching the movie Taken with Liam Neeson. Have you seen that movie Taken with Liam Neeson?
Yeah.
You remember the scene? He said that what I reminded him, you remember the scene when Liam's on the phone and he's like, I've got a particular set of skills and I will find you. Right? My client says, I'm like that finding real estate deals in today's market for them. Would you say having the Liam Neeson of realtors in your back pocket, would that be a tremendous resource to have?
Yeah.
I agree with you. Fantastic. Have I once said I'm a realtor or I run a real estate business? I help people find their dream homes. No. If you want to go more for Jamie, all right, fancy British accent, I get you. All right, I'll give you the I'm a proud American with an American passport and a truck, but I'll give you what you guys can do. Formula base. All right. What do you do for a living? Oh, that's an interesting question. All right, my clients. What am I doing here? I said a client watch a movie. My clients have said I'm involved in the most important decision they ever make in their lives. Would you say buying or selling a home is important? They're going to say yes. All right. Naturally, would you agree with me then not all realtors are created equally? Absolutely. Well, then you're going to understand I've got 3 questions for you. Are you currently looking to buy or sell a home? They'll smile, laugh. Do you happen to know anyone who is? No. All right. Third, final question, $1 million question. If you and me doing what I do at an event like this, you probably want this too. Notice I didn't say I want it. You would want this too. Would you want to be the first person thought of in the event of someone looking to do that? They're going to say, yes, terrific. How about we exchange numbers so you can put a face to the name when that moment happens for you or anyone that you know? All right. And it's more engagement, interaction between you and another individual.
Like it.
Now, the suite, did you like that, Wes, by the way? Yeah. Okay, great. And Sarah's got the recording for this, by the way, for those of you who want to play this back, who are in this game. Now, I'm going to teach you the sweetest little word on the planet. You start using this word, you'll stop nail biting when you're asking people for business. All right. The word is yet. Yet. There's 3 reasons why you'll want to incorporate the word yet into your dialogue. Firstly, if you've ever been in an argument with someone or in a relationship, no one likes the word but. I feel like there's a but coming. All right, yet no one's offended by the word yet. So first off, real small, just substitute the word yet, but for the word yet, you won't offend anyone. Secondly, more importantly for you guys, halfway through your meeting with a prospective client, just turn around to them and say, have you heard everything that you need to hear from me yet to feel confident to move forward? And here's the deal. If they say yes, you get to say seamlessly, perfect. Next step, so simple. I've actually prepared an agreement earlier. If they say no, what makes the word yet so great is even if they say no to you, you get to say, that's still perfect. What would you be wanting to hear specifically from me? So you can feel that sense of confidence and it keeps the meeting back on track. Third and final reason for your self-talk. A lot of my clients, if you ever have a negative chat with yourself about where you're at in life or what you're doing, which happens to everybody, all right, me inclusive, right? If you say, I haven't reached my goals for 2022, that's negative in a statement. Throw the word yet on the end of it and see how your psyche changes immediately as a result of throwing the word yet on the end of it. I saw Wes do it. So think about that. I haven't reached my goals for 2022 yet. You suddenly go, I can still do this. I can still crack it. I've still got a few months. All right. It's just by adding the word yet. So I call it the sweetest little word. And now comes the most powerful word on the planet. The most powerful word on the planet, you can only use it at the end of a meeting with a prospective client. Right? And if someone answers this with an emphatic yes, right, you bring on a client. It's very difficult for a client to say no to you after you consciously use this word in a dialogue. Ted Lasso uses it in his dressing room on the TV show. Lots of people use this word, all right? And everyone in life will always do what they want and they will always do what they believe. Believe. Everyone in life will always do what they believe. They will invest hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to college based on belief. They will go to a place of worship on a weekend based on the word belief. All right. So what you want to do is ask people, do you believe that I can achieve X for you? And it's their answer that will determine. Look, watch this. I'll be kind of cheeky. Who has learned something today and you absolutely believe I can help you bring on more business into your life? if you have me helping you in your communication? Who believes that? If your hand is up, okay. So I see some hands up. Great. So if your hand is up, you're genuine people, yes? So if your hand is up and you're genuine, when I stick my phone number up on the next slide, what is an action that you should take at that very moment?
Write it down.
You could write it down, it could sit there on a sheet of paper, or you could do something else, Wes. What could you do at that very moment?
Text you.
Text me. Who agrees with that person? You could text me. Okay, notice I never told you to text me. I just posed a question. I say I agree with you, and now you guys know why my phone number starts blowing up with numbers that I don't recognize. So I'm going to open it up to questions for you guys, because I feel like that's a bit of fun for you guys. And any challenges you're facing, this is where I really get to do
Oh,
something.
shoot. I shouldn't have unshared you. I'm sorry. I wanted to see your beautiful face, but share
Oh.
back if you want, or put your phone number up again, because I bet I just cut some people short.
Okay.
Is anybody curious how I use Jamie in my life?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you have ever been in a situation where you felt in over your head and you had nobody to talk it through with, especially when leadership positions, the saving moment in my life that Jamie was a part of, I was just up into this new CEO position. This was in years past. And there was somebody in leadership who was very important who didn't like me. And I found out from somebody else that they had even said, if she gets hired, I'll quit. But they didn't quit and I got hired. And I called Jamie and I said, now what do I do with this information? I want to walk into the room and say, hey, I know what you said, Well, in that moment, Jamie not only helped me unpack how to handle this person based upon their personality type, he told me what props to bring into the meeting, because flipping through those pages was going to affect that person. And long story short, it only took about 6 months for that person to come to me and say, hey, I want you to know when you got hired, I said I'd quit, but now I consider you a part of my success. And I was like, Jamie, we did it, man. So that's how I've used Jamie in my life, is literally sending him a text message and saying, I'm in over my head. I'm going to send you a video of this person and what I'm trying to do and my goals. And you tell me how to unpack it. And
just saying, I can't make this stuff up. So it's Celeste EXP smiley face. And at 2:11 today, how do I send me a snapshot and then of a text message between her and a prospective client? How do I convince her now is a good time? I'm about to go into a meeting, and I will get back. I always get back to my clients within minutes. Usually I set an expectation of every 24 hours, but usually happens in minutes. And actually that leads me, one of the greatest places, half your problems will go away if you are proactive in your communication in your first consultation with your clients. If you're a realtor and you're working with a buyer, your goal is to share with them, be like, look, is buying a house a pretty major decision, mate? They all say yes. Okay, so can you at least see where 30 minutes of making sure we're setting this up correctly would be great? Great. And then what you do is you say things like this. Here's what we're not going to do. You're not going to see a home and say the words, can we sleep on it? All right. And you're actually going to do that in your initial buyer's consultation, because what will happen is, because then you don't have to be reactive when it does happen, which it sometimes will. All right. So you say, we're not going to say we're sleeping it. Why? Because would you agree that if you love a home, other people will love the same home? They're going to be like, yeah, I can see that. Okay. Well, you're blessed to have me in your life. I know how to do a contract so that you have protection clauses throughout, so that you can make an offer and we still sleep at night. If it doesn't work out, we just go like this. Right, fair enough. Great. Oh, another thing, we're not going to say the market's going to crash, so we're going to hold off. All right. Why? The market does this, right? And then it does this. What way does it look like the interest rates might be going? And then you do this body language. Right. Simple economics. I'm not a mathematician, but it doesn't make sense to pay more to live in something worth less. Correct? Correct. Oh, have you ever noticed the market over time? Now, multiple choice question. You gave me the impression you're looking to live in it for a while. So are we looking to rehab and sell this house immediately, or are you looking to live in it for a while? Live in it for a while. Great. Have you noticed the next market peak is always higher than the last one in a chart in your head? Yes. Great. So when's the best time to be buying? Right now. I agree with you. Keep on. Another one that you want to do in your consultation is text messaging. There is no text in the world that you will get that you will be able to overcome in a text message back. So in my initial consultation, I would turn around to someone and be like, hey, sometimes you might text me. If I feel, can you see where tonality wise, it's a lot easier to understand each other over the phone sometimes. They'll nod their head like Sarah is. Great. So if you ever text me and I think it's worthwhile, I'll just text you back. When's a good time for us to get on a call? And I'm setting out, and I'm going to wax on, wax off this for the dating world. How many of you have been in a relationship and you notice your ex-partner had red flags that you don't want again? Do you wait 6 months later to find out the next person has it, or do you bring it up pretty quickly in the next relationship so you don't face it? It's the same principle, guys, with your clients. You guys get to pick the love of the client, your glorious clients. Don't have a scarcity mindset. Find people that think the same way you do around things, and your life will have a lot more sanity to it. By the way, my phone is blown up. It's 5:03. Is that, yeah, that's your
logo.
Yeah, okay. All right. Any questions about any situations you're facing? And this is where I'm in my element to help you guys. I don't pick up my kid till 4, so I'm on the East Coast, so I've got a little bit of time that I can help with that.
That's huge. I hear just like ching, 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 like take advantage. Tell them your story, guys.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have a quick question about mimicking your clients. We discussed in the beginning of our meeting. So if I notice my clients texting me and they don't use emojis, should I mimic and not include emojis as well? And
If they don't use emoji, I would look. I just had someone this morning text me and they didn't use an emoji, so I didn't use one. I'm just saying that when I bring on a client, I'll put an emoji after their name, and it's my way of making someone feel special. If someone doesn't use emojis and you start using emojis, and they're not a client yet of yours. I'm very literal. I practice what I preach. I've got clients that are Colombian. I've got 92-year-old Eastern Europeans. I've got people from Portland. I've got black kids that are 19 years of age. It doesn't matter who my client is because I build rapport with them based on how they talk to me, text me, Stella, before they come on board as a client. Once they become a client, if you want to start texting emojis and stuff and doing that, you can. All right. The other thing about that you're like is when you get a smiley face after your name and you do that for your clients, you will start getting referrals years later as a result of that play too. How many of you love referrals? All right. Make your clients feel special. They will start preaching about you. Here's the scary thing in the real estate industry. I've seen the statistics. 92% of people say they love their realtor, they'll use them again. 2 years later, only 13% of that 92% remember the person's name. You do what you want with that information. All right. I'm just sharing, like Sarah and I met through Facebook. I was doing lives during the pandemic, and all of a sudden Sarah just resonated with the things that I taught. And then this relationship has just blossomed, blossomed, blossomed. We're apart from the country, we never met. And yet there's like almost like a virtual hug.
Yeah.
Right, on a regular basis.
I have to remember the moment you always talk about everybody gets like the smiley face or whatever. And then I said, what's after my name? And he pulls his phone up and it's my name. And then there's like a whole, okay, what is it?
I can't make this up. You see 3 smiley faces?
I got 3. I got 3 smiley faces. And it's so funny because at that moment, that was when I became so invested in referring Jamie. Like, I remember the moment I had invited him to come on a call. Then he said I had 3 smiley faces. And now all of a sudden I was like, not only do I believe in Jamie and what he does and how he's changed my life, but like, it was like, I was a cool kid and I wanted to support his business. And it was just that simple. So saying, oh, my favorite clients get an emoji. The next question for that client is, what's mine? Oh, well, you have lots of emojis. Like, it was a reward for caring, you know?
Makes total sense. That's a great tip. Thank you.
Hey, look, if that was one thing that you picked up, that's fantastic. Again, when I pick my son up at 4 o'clock, all I keep saying to him is, dude, what's the most important thing? And he's like, people remember the way you've been feeling. If I die today and he just remembers that, That's what will get you ahead. That's what in 10 years time. I had a chat with my sister the other day. All right. And she goes, Jamie, you did next to nothing for a business plan. And I said, Carly, I'm insulted. She goes, what do you mean you're insulted? I said, I didn't do next to nothing. I did nothing. All right. What's the point I'm making here to you guys? You can have all your glorious companies. They can have all their glorious things that they've done and achieved and whatever they're proud of. It's irrelevant. All right. There are 3 things my business runs on. And thankfully it goes well is, do I believe in myself? Yes. And you can answer yourself these questions. Do you believe in yourself? Yes. Can I get someone else to believe me that I can help them? Can I get someone else to place a value on what I bring to the table? I can promise you, vouch, you have those 3 things answered, you can be putting money in your pocket. What I'm about to share with you guys is not to be bashful or pat myself in the back. Sarah's my friend on Facebook. You're welcome to become, you can go through my profile. It's all public. All right. My creating existence, I believe that I just like working 2 hours of a day and going away every July through August 8th, July 1st till August 8th, all right. And I just went to Egypt, Israel. Sarah's like, yep, I saw all of that. My goal is to align with people where they want to create an existence that they want through abundance. All right. There's no scarcity. Any client you bring on, there's a headache. I'm saying to you, it's not worth it. It's not worth your sanity. Do you see where I'm going with this? Like too many people and in the real estate game, a lot of people don't make it an easy rap for you guys because they don't value you guys. So the more you use the word value beforehand, the harder it will be for them to say, will you accept less than? But you have to consciously use the word value. What value do you place on this in the form of a question? And you can even tailor it low or high. When they say high, that's where it makes it more difficult. But if you're not asking the question, you can't just assume that they value you. Does that make sense to you guys? If Sarah's not on here as a client, if Sarah's not on here, you wouldn't know the kind of love and care I give. I showed Celeste call. I'm going to call Celeste the second I get in my truck to pick up my son Harrison to help her out. Benjamin Berry. All right, another one. Sent Carolina your number. She's interested about joining. All right, like it's a referral text. All right, that came in at 243. So again, I like to practice what I preach. I like the idea of you guys getting business into your life through abundance. All right, and people will care and remember the way you leave them feeling. And if you ask them really good questions, not why wouldn't you go with my services? If you ask someone, why wouldn't you do this? Right, and I'll give you a challenge for yourself. The next time your kid does something naughty, don't say, what were you thinking? Why did you do that? Think about it. That's what you're probably doing. That's what most people do. Why did you do that? All right. Think about what they now have to come up with, the reasons they did it. Ask them, why shouldn't you have done that? All of a sudden, you'll see their eyes go in their head and they start thinking, and now they share and talk and they start showing you they have an understanding better than what it is that you were looking for. Someone does something wrong to you. Don't say, why did you do that? Say, why shouldn't you have done it? Again, it's the same. How many of you have got young kids that you try and feed them vegetables?
Mhm.
Okay. I bet you're saying this. How do you know you don't like it? Have you ever tried it? It's human nature. All right. How do you know you don't like it? Have you ever tried it? How do you know you don't like it? I just know. Okay. Have you ever tried it? No. Next time, try this. Do you think mummy or daddy feeds you healthy because I don't care about you or because I really care about you? They'll say, because you really care. Right. So in that context, what benefits would you come up with for trying the broccoli? I don't know. Ruby, back in school, elementary school, I remember the teachers were teaching you something about eating different colored foods. Do you remember the benefits of eating green? I don't remember. And then I can't say the actual name, but I'll spell it out for you because it'll start talking. But because they won't listen to me, I'll go ALEXA. What are the benefits of eating broccoli? And then ALEXA will start going, the benefits of eating broccoli are da 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 da. I'm like, Ruby, did any one of those resonate with you? Well, the bit about the brain. Why? Well, you need to have a brain, da 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 da. Okay, so what's your thoughts on the broccoli now? I should probably try it. Great. Now, it might seem long-winded, But I promise you this, every time my daughter gets on her device, I'm like, Ruby, do you remember when we spoke and you shared with me? All right, you'll end up with no friends, no social life, no hermit. All right. Did you just tell me what you thought I wanted to hear, or do you actually believe it? I believe it. Okay, so right now, what should you be doing? Putting my phone back in my room. Terrific. Here's what I'm not doing. I told you that if I was the da. It's a more proactive, constructive relationship. So hopefully that hits. I love it when clients hire me and they're like, I didn't hire you to put more money in my pocket. I hired you to make me a better mum, all right, to my kids or whatever it is, or that scenario. So did that help you, Stella? You don't want to, unless they do it, you mimic them if they do it. You don't proactively, you don't go and do it yourself. Since some of you, Stella, guys, I'm here to, I promise you, if you're facing a challenge, this is where I get the biggest kick, because I can actually help you pivotal in the moment.
I
have a
will
situation.
try this today.
Go on, Mindy.
Well, your story just reminded me of a funny situation I had this weekend. My niece was having a meltdown because she wanted to watch TV, and the adults wanted to watch the TV. And she's like, well, TV is bad for your eyes. So if I can't watch TV, nobody's going to watch TV. Let's none of us watch TV. So I took her aside and I'm like, well, so TV's bad for our eyes, right? It's like, yeah, so nobody should watch TV. I'm like, okay, let's go get a screwdriver. Let's take down all the TVs in the house and we'll put them in my car and I will go throw them away because we don't want anybody to get bad eyes. And she's like, wait, if the TVs go away, then I can never watch TV again. And she went back and gave him the remote because it was like, okay, now if I follow through with that, then they can't, because she didn't want anybody to have a turn. If she couldn't have a turn, then I can't have a turn. Kids are easy. Adults are not. Kids I can do. Adults I cannot do.
Look, you can say that. The things that I taught today and the way in which I teach it, they resonate. How many people were on here today, Sarah? Like in total? I know that there were 26 registered, but how many people actually showed up?
16.
Okay, I can tell you right now, I've had 3 text messages from 503 numbers. All right, you're never going to sell 100% of any adult, first off, and you don't have to. All right, what I taught today is me being me, authentically me, and I can keep doing that all day, every day, Mindy. All right, when you talk to an adult, when I call up one of those 503 numbers, here's the conversation. I'm just telling you, what did you like the most about today's talk? All right, and then you're going to tell me, and I'm going to say, oh, why'd you say that? And then you're going to tell me, and I'm like, what kind of value do you place in the things that I could teach you? You're going to tell me, and I'm going to ask you, do you believe I can help you? And you're going to tell me, and all I'm doing is talking to you the same way I talk to my kids, Mindy, and I'm talking to you the same way that I'm talking to you right now. You are an adult, I'm an adult. I'm just seeing who vibes with me. All right, from that standpoint, and I'm going to sleep very peacefully at night. Why? Because I'm getting you to tell me what you love. I'm getting you to tell me why you love it. I'm getting you to tell me that you value me, and I'm getting you to tell me that you believe I can help you. If then someone doesn't then go and proceed, I'm like, there's nothing else I could have done. The problem happens when we start telling people, you should do this because of this reason. I had someone the other day turn around to me and said, and they were just doing it. Matthew Buckley, you'll remember that name. Anyone who looks at me on Facebook will remember this name. 23 years of age, he's got a team of 75 agents underneath him. He hired me. Why? Because he wants to start public speaking, and I met him at the Orpheus Awards night that I went to hand out an award. Nothing happens by accident, all right? And he believed it. He said those words. Every post on my social media says nothing happens by accident. It doesn't, all right? It's all organics. You don't have to do guru-sponsored ads on Facebook. I've not ever done a guru-sponsored ad on Facebook. I do posts where I post questions. Sarah and I spoke about this beforehand. A Facebook post should just get engagement. That is it. If you're not getting engagement, it just means you're not asking a good question of the audience that comes across your post. But Mindy, in terms of adults having another adult, Matt turned around to me and goes, hey, what if I only want to pay you X amount? I said, terrific. And he was doing it just to see how I would handle it. And all I said is, Matt, I totally get it. I'm like, did you go to college? He goes, no. He even said no. I said, well, most of my clients, they agree. Would you agree with me that the things I teach, they weren't taught in any college classroom? Absolutely, I'd agree with that. Well, how much is college these days? He's like, oh my God, like hundreds. I'm like, okay, would you say the stuff I'm going to teach is more valuable than what most people learn in college? He goes, yeah. I said, can you see where my investment is a very sensible investment then? He goes, you know what? Well played. All right. Because but I'm talking to him like he's an adult. I'm same with my daughter in the car the other day on the way to school, Mindy. Dad, kids with her friend, kids at the school are doing drugs. I didn't say, I better not catch you. I said, well, why wouldn't you do drugs? All right. Wanting the answer to what? Why wouldn't you do drugs? I know what I'm asking her. I'm asking her to come up with the reasons why she won't do them. And then she's saying, oh my God, it'll mess this up, this up, this up. I'm like, oh, and why is that a problem? And I'm elevating. Some of the time, Mindy, in our questions of adults, we're not getting to emotion because we're not layering our questions so that we get ourselves to a place. If an owner says, you want an owner to put a higher offer, a buyer to put a higher offer on a property, if you just started with the question, hey, do you believe I've got your best interests at heart when it comes to finding you a home? All right, and you start with that question and they answer yes. And then you say, so would you understand that whatever advice I give you is pretty solid advice to take? They're going to say yes. And then you say, so could you see we're doing this as an offer that will give you a much stronger chance? Yes. Great. It's all question based. I'm not telling them you won't get that house with this offer. Like you won't, like you need to increase your offer. You should listen to me because of da da da. I'm phrasing it in the form of a question. So it's interactive with people.
That makes sense.
And then I know I'm happy. Thank you, Mindy. Cheers. All right. So don't talk to an adult like they're a child. But I'll tell you right now, most of you have ever gone through a PowerPoint presentation by a speaker have felt like you're little kids with the way they talk to you. Why? Because they've got bullet points where you're like, I can read. Might as well just send me the presentation. Any of you notice not one of my slides was bullet point? Why? Because the slide is so I can then, I know what I'm going to teach you, and now I can look at people's faces. I can see Wes do this. I can see, oh, for those of you who stuck around, I'll teach you a real key tip.
Oh, yeah.
You can get people to do what you want them to do, Mindy, just with body language. It's something I'm teaching next month. Mindy, look at me for a second and watch what your head does. Mindy, communication is very important. Oh, the fact you nodded your head yes means I see you get it. You can literally do that to your clients. You can see absolutely where I can get your home sold and do this, and their head is going to do this. And then you get to call them out for it. All right? There's nothing holding you back. And they're going to be like, no. I say the only person who ruined it for us is Bill Clinton, because he said, I did not have sexual relations with that woman. I will absolutely cooperate with the authorities. All right? If someone says, I did not, and the head is doing this, they're lying to your face. Not that you should become like Meet the Fockers, the dad from that, you know, but yeah, yet I should say, it's interesting what body language can do. Hey, if you just say, do we have a deal, and you stick your hand out, they're more likely to find it's action reaction. People struggle. If you know every time you do X, you can get Y. I do something where I read minds too, but I don't know if I've got time. Oh, 971.
Yep.
I don't know. Okay.
Salem or Oregon still. Yeah.
Okay. And I share that just so you know, guys. Imagine you do presentations and you get 4 people from a group of like, and technically Sarah and I are 2 of those 12. So from 14 people, you said 16 total.
Mm-hmm.
So minus 2, that's 14. I just share this because my thought, if you were me, I'll put you in my shoes. If you're me and you are getting, you know, on on average, easily 3 out of 10 people as clients, when you get in front of people, would that be a good, if you're not doing it, would that be a good thing to achieve in life? Whenever I leave these meetings, I'm just like, I can't do any more than what I do from my standpoint. Does that make sense? Like, it's like you teach everyone everything that you know, and then you move forward in life. All I tell you is, and as I go and pick up my son, because I'm going to say this again, people remember the way you leave them feeling. So if you are saying anything that you feel another human being can do, if you're writing emails to people where you're just changing up the name of the recipient, I wish you all the best in life. Does that make sense? Like don't do things. You've all got glorious miscellaneous ingredients that you look at in the mirror. And vulnerability, one of the things that makes Sarah very appealing to me as an individual is, and she does this on Facebook, she does it like, she's not afraid of being vulnerable. And I'm here to share with you that is a very attractive trait in sales. All right. No one, like people say you have to be confident. You don't. There's only one thing in sales you can't be: desperate. The only one word you can't be, you can be nervous, because there are other people who have been nervous before in their lives. You can build rapport around that. You could be young. Other people have been young before in their lives. You can be vulnerable, and that is extremely attractive to other human beings if you want to work with the right people in your life. So hopefully, like, that's but they're not going to feel like your vulnerability if they just feel like you've just changed out a name. And if you've written the words instead of, and look at your emails, text, is there a question in there? If there's no question in there, what are you asking them to do? And if you say we should talk or let's talk, that's a statement. It's not as going to be as, actually, just to be upfront, we talked about this. Sarah and I are mutual friends with a woman called Ali, all right, in Portland. She's with Keller Williams, Ali. All right?
She's
No,
with EXP.
She's with EXP, all right? And she hired me, and I go for my birthday messages. Everyone's happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday. I didn't respond to any of them. All right. I just did the heart, and I responded at the end. Thank you for everything. Ali, the one person, goes, what did you, well, happy birthday. What are you doing for it? Question mark. I felt compelled to answer the question.
Right.
So I'll let that sink in for you guys. Write a question on social media. You'll get a response. Sarah got me to respond. She went, is it blurry? I'm like, no, I don't think so. And then she said other people wrote to her, like, is it blurry? Like, it just, if she'd have just done the standalone post, no one would have written any comments. Raise a question. Oh my God, lo and behold, there's responses. So that's a good lesson for you guys too.
Jamie,
Good stuff.
before, yeah, go Wes. I want you guys' questions.
So I was just saying good stuff. I'm just sitting here as long as we can, just learning it all, everything. I can.
Yes.
I'm glad that you value it to spend your time doing that. That's the one commodity we're not going to get back. Every one of you, I know that some people had to leave, all right, but every one of you that's staying, I look at that as a compliment. Why? Because we're never getting this time back. All right. I get better when I teach this stuff. The more I teach you, the better I get in life. If you've ever coached anything to anybody, you'll find you get better at that skill set when you coach. Have you ever found any of that for any of you? So the more you teach another individual, you will get better at that very thing for yourself.
Can I share the one thing that I always teach people that I took from your first class? You might have just taught this all to us, but anybody new or anybody feeling insecure, or anytime someone, if you've ever been asked a question where you didn't know the answer to, this is now what I coach people because Jamie taught me this. You say, that's an interesting question, and the answer is more complicated than you may realize. Tell me what the real question is. School me, Jamie. But I teach that, right? That's a really interesting question. Go ahead.
Okay. So anytime I get an objection, rather than do the shoot from the hip, which is what most people do. Like, I think my house worth X. Why do you think that? I would turn around and I use these words. Any argument, I never have an argument with anyone because I use these words. And it gives my time to process what direction I'm going to go. All right, am I going to go with story time? Am I going to go with multiple choice question? But here's the words that come out of my mouth. I get it. I don't agree with them. I don't disagree with them. I just say, I get it. I can see where at this moment in time that you could be thinking that. There's something around this that I've not had a chance to share with you yet. And then I do the golden rule of communication. The golden rule is ask for permission. I say, is it okay if I share something with you? We live in a world of ADHD. So if you just turn around to someone and say, is it okay if I share something with you? They're going to be inclined to say, yes, terrific. And then what you should be doing is not sharing a statement, but asking a question. I'll give you an example. I think my home is worth X. I get it. I can see where that can be a full process. There's something around your home I've not had a chance to share with you yet. Is it okay if I share something with you? Now, I pride myself on being professional. Would you believe that I've done this a number of times? The second they say yes to that question, they're subliminally now thinking, you know what, this person's done it a number of times. I should probably at least listen to them. And then I'll say questions. Now, you do want to sell the property fast. All right. And then click the fingers for NLP to body language. You do want to sell the property fast. Yeah. Okay, great. Well, you like me, you value your time. Yes. Okay. You're going to appreciate. I didn't just come here on my own. I got a whole team at the office evaluate every sale that's gone on within a 2-second radius of where we're stood. And this is the number that my team and I came up with to get your house sold fast. Now that I've just shared with you, can you see where this number makes a lot of sense? And you're more inclined to get a yes rather than what the amateurs do. I didn't give them an ability to share why do they think their number makes sense. I just took ownership of the conversation with, I get it. I can see where that can be a full process. There's something around it I've not shared yet. Is it okay if I share? And you could do that. You could do that with your wife if you like. I fancy Mexican tonight. Totally get it, honey. I can see where that could be a full process. There's something I've not had a chance to share with you yet. Is it okay if I share? Yes. There's this fancy new Italian number, all right, around the corner. And it's, it doesn't matter what the scenario is. I'm just like, I get, you're not agreeing. You just say, I get it. Go ahead.
There's another part of it too that I see, and tell me if I'm wrong here. If you are asked a question by a client and you don't know the answer to it, and you say that's a more complicated question than you may realize, is it okay if I do some research and I'll come back to you with the answer?
Well, that's always going to be the best. If you try and answer a question, look, you can make it. You could do what I call the has this ever. I can't believe I'm teaching this right now. All right. You can do what's called the has this ever happened for you play. All right. Has this, the words are the start of a dialogue. Has this ever happened for you? So I get into gyms around the country. My greatest sale I've ever done for my business was doing this play. But it stemmed from the wax on, wax off moment was I would travel. Let's say I was coming to Portland and I don't belong to, and there's not a crunch gym that I belong to in where I'm staying. I want to work out in a big gym because hotel gyms aren't good. Rather than pay the $10, $15, I go up to the person behind the counter. I'm like, hey, curious, has this ever happened for you? You ever gone traveling and you go to a gym you've never worked out at before? And the person behind the counter is just like the friendliest person ever. And they ask you how long you're in town for. And you've told them a couple of days. And they said, you know what, go ahead. I'm like, isn't that the greatest thing in the world? When that happens, they're like, yeah. I'm like, oh great, you'll appreciate me then. I'm Jamie, I'm visiting from Florida. And they start laughing and chuckling like, dude, how long are you in town for? I'm like, 2 days. They're like, look, just go before my manager gets back. All I'm doing is, has this happened for you? Do you love it when it happens for you? Great, you'll appreciate me. So someone asks you a question that you don't know the answer. Hey, have you ever had it in life where you've been asked a question, you don't know the answer to it, and you know that if you just throw something at them, that would not be the best situation. Terrific. So rather than me just throw something at you, would it be a best play that I go, I've got count on one hand, some really great connections that can get you that information. How's that sound? All right. Sometimes there's no word for word. You've got to go with your gut sometimes. And we talked about gathering information. Sometimes gathered information in your industry can be they're holding a Starbucks cup. All right. If someone says, I don't think I can afford this mortgage. I don't think I can afford this home. Hey, I get it. Hey, there's something I haven't had a chance to share yet. Is it all right if I share? Yeah. So you want the house, you want to make sure it's financially feasible. You're not saying you want the house, you don't want to be broke, because that now think them broke. You want it to be feasible. They say, yes. I noticed you're holding a Starbucks cup. Have you ever been to Starbucks more than once in a day? Maybe. Okay, terrific. Hey, usually for my buyers, I get them a closing gift of a generator. In your case, I'll make an exception. All right, and here's what I'll do. I'll buy you a coffee grinder and a French press, and it'll be the most sophisticated experience. I'll get you a 6-month supply of glorious beans, way better than what you're getting in Starbucks. And you get to do it in the luxury of this home that you've just said you love. How does that sound to you? Oh my God, Jamie, that's amazing. And then here's the secret. They're still going to go to Starbucks or whatever coffee place and buy the expensive coffee once they moved in. But you are selling them on the emotion. Now, no manipulation, ethics, integrity. They want the home. You're not forcing someone to buy something that they don't want. And they're already spending money on a coffee elsewhere where they can afford to be in a home. I'm not you're not making round peg into square holes, guys. All right, you should only ever sell someone something that they told you they want. Then it's your goal is you're going to get objections thrown at you. You have to just know the best way to overcome them. And you have to overcome an objection there and then. I'll tell you for why. The second I leave here, someone doesn't text me, within 5 minutes, other events are happening in your life, just like they're happening in mine. All right. So if you don't bring on someone when you get into an emotional space with urgency, you're going to the chance. I've had, maybe I can count on one hand in 3 years, how many people have actually wanted me to be persistent in bringing them on down the road. Does that make sense? Like most people forget about stuff. But I'm here to let you know you'll still get really quality individuals into your life, right? When they resonate with you in one meeting. There are things you can be doing in rapport build, things you can be doing in urgency that make someone feel very comfortable. Right? What I'll teach this because it's kind of cheeky. I showed a snapshot of my phone at the beginning on the slide. This is what my phone looks like. The people that have texted me, here's what they 100% know. They know they're not the first person that's ever texted me at the end of one of these meetings, right? No one likes feeling like a sucker. Oh, I'm your first person. Does that make sense? All right. So think about this in the psychology play for your clients. Your clients do not want to believe that they're your only client. So think about psychology in terms of if they reach out to you and you're always available just like that, does that really say that you're busy or that you're like in dire need of clients? It says you're in dire need of clients if you can just go and do things on a whim all the time for people. Think of the nightclub analogy, what they do. They have a line out the door. It's empty inside, but they keep the line out the door. Think about when you go to Miami, where if you ever visit Miami, and they've got the people trying to chase you down to get you into the restaurant, right? They're never the good restaurants to go to. You want to go to the restaurant that's packed. Do you understand? There's ways subliminally that you can do stuff for people. Does that make? I'm hoping. I'm trying. Some of this stuff might go over the head, but there's a reasoning behind everything that you're going to do with your clients, and a lot of it comes down to psychology. Think about the outcome that you want before you go in. Actually, on that note, tell you what, I'm going to read someone's mind. Who would think it was wizard-like if I read your mind? It only takes 30 seconds. Wes, all right. So this is, there's a lesson in this. All right, Wes, I don't know why, but not a card trick, but we're going to pack of playing cards, all right, just for a whim. You and I are going to play a game against each other, all right? So just answer the first thing that pops in your mind. Do not jump ahead, though. But you've got to go really fast. Don't hesitate, just answer so we can hear you. All right, just say first thing that pops in your mind. Okay, so you and I, we open up a brand new deck to play a game. We take out the jokers. Going real fast without jumping ahead. Wes, once you take out those jokers, you've got two colors. You've got black, you've got red. Pick one.
Red.
Okay, even quicker. Of the red, really quick, you've got hearts, you've got diamonds. Pick one.
Diamonds.
Of the diamonds, you've got numbered, you've got face.
Face.
Of the face, you've got the jack, the queen, the king.
King.
Okay. Have we met before? Okay.
No.
Is that your card?
That's my card.
Okay. And that is not a card trick. What I teach people to do is go into an interaction with an outcome in mind. And then I help people to reverse engineer, how do we achieve that outcome? We don't do it by asking, how are you? We don't ask it by saying, why do you think your house is worth that? We don't get to the outcome we want unless we know the right questions that direct to the outcome that we want. Does that make sense? Like, it's like, I need to talk to my wife. When am I going to hear from you? 3 weeks, 4 weeks. It's not as sophisticated as saying, oh, totally get it. Happy wife, happy life. Usually people in your boat, they'll speak tonight. I'll hear back from them by tomorrow. What kind of time frame are you thinking? And they will say, yeah, no, tomorrow should be good or the next day should be good because I'm planting a seed as to what other people in their situation do. And then I'm going to tee them up even further. Hey, there's that term, oh, it's become popular, ghosting. And then I'm going to wait to see them say, that sucks. And then they say, and I'm like, great. So if I don't hear from you by tomorrow, is it all right if I follow up with you the very next day? Yes. Here's what they actively do. They reach out to me the next day to say, see, no ghosting from me. It doesn't happen by accident. It happens because I proactively bring it up. The King of Diamonds is the words. The King of Diamonds for me represents these words. I agree with you. I'm like, okay, if I want someone to do something and it's in their interest to do it and I can get them to share why it's in their interest, I get to say I agree with them. So hopefully that was Thank you for being a good sport there, Wes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I get called British Jesus for doing that in the prison system. Sarah and I have an affinity with helping in prisons. So
This is really cool.
guys,
So I have I get calls from people that are trying to sell me things in relation to the surrounds of my business, like being listed on voice services like Alexa, for example. And it's funny because every once in a while they'll call and be like, do you know who we are? And I'm like, yep, and I don't need it. You know, and so it's interesting to hear this perspective and ways to ask questions versus
cool.
You know,
Cold calling. I don't get business by cold calling. I help cold callers get business. I just don't. I believe in creating existence. I don't want to cold call, so I just choose to build my business for a referral scenario.
yeah, I don't want to do that either.
All right.
Right.
But if I was to call up people, whenever I've done for one morning of a year, I'll do it, the activity, just so I can teach people what I do in order to do it. And I'll call up associations typically to get speaking engagements. And I never do it a word for word. Sometimes I'll call someone up and be like, hey, have you ever had it in the morning where you got up and it was like really, you saw some inspirational quote and it just makes you feel like an extra pep in your step? Just because I'm trying to build rapport. And the right person be like, yeah, I've done that. Great. Now that's why you're going to appreciate I've actually got a bit of a pep in my step today. I saw this quote and it just really hit home. And I'm building rapport with someone. I haven't said, I'm so-and-so with so-and-so. All right. If I go into a business cold, I've done this, climb a real estate school where I've met a bulk of clients. I walked in to, it says big letters, no, absolutely no soliciting under any circumstances. I walk in, I'm like, hey, first off, absolutely, I can read. All right. I actually call out, just so you know, I can read. Hey, real quick. Are you like me when you're working? You like to have a lot of fun? They say yes. Terrific. Friday afternoon, tell you what if I read one of your minds? People seem to think that's a lot of fun. Go through the King of Diamonds play, and now all the resistance is gone. And then I say, hey, let's say you were me, and put them in my shoes, right? And you absolutely could provide value for people. Who would you be wanting to share that message with here? Oh, that would be so-and-so. Terrific. Hopefully you're seeing how that works. It's basically just a rapport build, evoke some emotion, and a call to action is the breakdown of a phone call, a talk, a one-to-one, whatever it might be. It has to have the build rapport component, evoke some kind of emotion in the person component, and then asking for the business should be easy. It shouldn't be like, oh my God, I've got to ask the person. It should just be an easy flow. Hey guys, I'm going to actually have to make a move now from that standpoint. But Sarah, was that goal? Was that everything?
Okay, how is it possible, Jamie, that I've taken this class so many times and every single time I have new notes?
I'll let you in. Look, when people actually hire me from this talk, I ask them a week later, do you remember this? No. Do you remember this? No. Do you remember this? Then I'll get brokerages that bring me back again like you do. Jamie, what are you going to do different? And I say, I'll make a bet with you. Right? Not one thing will be different and everyone will still love it and no one will remember anything I did last time. And they said, Jamie, fair enough. All right. And it's always the same thing. Look, there is a notion of predictability. If something's not broke, don't fix it. Does that make sense? Like we can always get better on things in life. I absolutely believe that. But if you're happy with your ethics, morale, the people that you work with, I say go for it. Does that make like on that front? So guys, thank you for being a stellar group for me. Thank you for
Thank you so
listening.
much, Jamie, Sarah.
I feel like you guys got a lot out of it, thankfully, from my end. So I love that. And when you did text me, I will be calling. All right. So don't be surprised when you get a call. All right. Cheers, guys.
So awesome. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us. If you need more support in your business or your life, please know I've got your back. All of you should have my numbers and please reach out and let me know what you thought of today.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for organizing this.
Thank you. So bless you. It's so cool to like meet on socials just a few hours ago and like get to hang out together.
Yes, always. I'm so glad I met you through Ignite. And I'm happy to read all your content on Instagram and
Thank you.
Thank you
That's
so
what
much.
Thank you. Thank you. That's what it's all about. I'll see you all on the other side. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye-bye.